What's good, Liberators? Fingers here, and this is the latest installment of Dx2 Demon Review. And today we are talking about Beelzebub. And no, not that game-breaking bullshit that's about to be unleashed upon us in the coming weeks, but the original OG Beelzebub that Sega fucked up to begin with. Let's get into why. The King of Hell, known as Lord of the Flies, by making them carry the souls of the dead, he keeps the flies he rules in order. In the Bible, he is mentioned as one of the most formidable demons of high rank. It is also said that he was once the Lord Baal of Canaan, who was punished and became Beelzebub. Let's get into the mechanics. As you can see, his stats are pretty lackluster all around. All really average, and that averages out to dog shit. This is another example of Sega trying to make a well-rounded demon, but well-rounded demons work out about as well as the 2020 election. So as you can see, his magic stat is the main thing you're going to want to focus on, and this is somewhat inflated due to his panel, because I believe his original baseline magic stat caps out at 164. Add 20 from Mitama's, and add 20 from one of his spirit panels, and it comes out to a functional 204. Not great, but functional. And the other thing you want to look out for here is his vitality, because of his unique skill, which we will get into in a moment. Skills: transferable Mudodyne, the second strongest transferable single target dark skill, dark magic damage with a power of 160, thematically appropriate for the King of Hell. And the second skill, Mazianga, mid-tier electric sweep skill with a power of 100. No pierce effect attached onto this one, so your mileage may vary. Be aware. And for his unique skill, Gluttony, inflicts dark magic damage on all enemies while healing caster 50% of damage dealt with a power of 130. And if you level this bad Mama Jamma up, you get plus 20% to that damage and a 100% chance of 2 MP recovery after using this skill. And what this means is that this will always cost 7 MP to fire off. You need at least 7 MP, but it will only cost you 5. So you have 7 MP, you use this skill, and you're left with 2 MP. It's a weird way Sega broke down some of these early level ups for the unique skills. They did the same thing to the original Cert's Ragnarok, and I believe the original Thor's Mjolnir have a similar mechanic where you need 7 MP no matter what, but it will only cost you 5. And that is just something to be aware of when you're running him. If you're planning each round out very strictly, you want to watch out for this, and you're probably going to want to throw on those divine brands if your battle is going to be extended for any major length of time. And for the archetype skill, I've got him as Origami, which gives him Bolt Storm, which is random enemy 2 to 4 times electric bullshit. And with most of his archetypes, for what I use him for, which is primarily Dark Demopocalypse, which he's great in, and Dark Alterworld, which he is also great in. Those are the only 2 places I use him, and his archetype skills do not help with those 2 endeavors in any way, shape, or form. And we will get into those momentarily. As for the transferables, I've got him with Atarukunda, which again plays into Dark Demopocalypse and Dark Alterworld both. So that's why I've got that there to help perk up those scores and speed things along. And another obvious one, Dark Boost, 15% to dark damage, and anything that increases his dark damage is going to go a long way. If you're running him in PvP, which if you have him paneled and you're just starting out, is a viable play. But I'm talking if you're just starting out early on, you can do a lot worse than this guy right here, especially when you get him to panel 3. As for brands, spell brands, divine brands, give him magic, he casts spells, it's what he does. You don't need me to tell you how to run magic demons. As for the panels, and these are bar none some of the best panels for a 4-star innate demon. Most of the 4-star panels are just garbage and pointless, and I just sit there and look at them and go, why? Why is this a thing? But Beelzebub, he got a little bit of respect. Sega did him dirty, making him an innate 4-star demon to begin with, but when the panels came along, they did a good job correcting that initial mistake, so I will give them credit for that. Panel 1, plus 20% to his magic stat, which is huge because they screwed him on his magic stat to begin with. They were probably worried that Gluttony would be overpowered if it was really damage dealing, healed him too much, but as we all know, that is not the case, so giving him that much needed magic is a nice first step. For panel 2, minus 30% to light and dark damage received, which is only really applicable for Alter World, but it's there, it works, it makes him work great in the Dark Alter World, so fantastic, great job Sega. And the best of the beast, panel 3, and what Sega's apology was to all of us Beelzebub enthusiasts, adds Dark Pierce, which puts him in a 4-star league of his own with this skill alone. Because there are other demons, 4-star demons, that get a panel 3 of a Pierce effect, but it's a Pierce weak effect where, you'll only deal 30% damage. You're allowed to hit the guy with that repel or that drain or that null, but you only get 30% damage, so get fucked. Nope, not so with Beelzebub. They gave him the full Dark Pierce, and hell yeah. Okay, now we're talking. And if you can get this, if you're just starting out, it's still going to be expensive as all get out to panel him up this high. It'll probably cost about the same amount as it would to fuse some of the earlier innate 5-star demons, but with a Pierce effect, you can go a long way in PvP just by having one demon who can pierce through everything. It's just the way it is. When I fused my first 5-star demon, which was a Psychic Caholan, with that Force Pierce skill, it knocked me up several ranks, and it was a real game changer in that regard. So this Dark Pierce, if you're just starting out and you can somehow get this, you can do a lot worse in PvP than this guy right here. But again, only if you're just starting out. There are many other demons who perform the spell sweeper function far better than this guy, unfortunately, but you could do a lot worse. Now, let's check out those other archetypes before we call it a day. We need the 4-star selector, which is just, when I think of Beelzebub as a 4-star, it's extremely painful. And the Origami archetype with Bolt Storm, we discussed. The Protector archetype gives you Sea of Chaos, inflicts almighty magic damage on all enemies, and reduces the enemy's defense by 20%. Hey, not bad. If you are running him in PvP, you can make use of this. If you're running him in PvE, you can make use of this. This ain't a bad little skill. The only problem is it costs 8 MP. Even with the 1 MP reduction for it being an archetype skill. This thing, it costs 9 MP innately. Although if you level it up, you do get that -1 to the cost. So, something to consider. This ain't a bad choice at all. And as for the Psychic archetype, you get Makaraka Shift. activates following chain effect at the beginning of a battle. If the enemy attacks first, casts Makarahakarn, which sucks because everything pierces through everything. So having a magic shield up ain't gonna help you all that much. Maybe in PvE, but if the enemy is attacking you first in PvE, you are doing something very, very wrong. There is zero downside to acting first in any PvE situation. Always go first. Always in PvE. In PvP, it's a little different. If you go first, you're at an MP handicap. So there's a balance there. But for PvE purposes, always go first. If you're not going first, figure out a way to go first. Except for some of those hyper speedster Kiwamis, which are designed to not allow you to go first. But this will not even save you there because all those demons are going to pierce right through this, making it completely useless. Don't bother. Forget about it. Screw it. Leave it alone. And for the Elementalist archetype, which is rarely not the worst archetype this time around, you get Repel Light. And, hey, I mean, if you're completely underwhelmed by his other skills, why not? If you're never going to use those other skills, why not have a Repel Light on there? What the hell? And, okay, he already has the null for light and only a null for darkness, too. So, okay, would have been nice to have the double repels there, but hey, you get what you get. And as I mentioned before, Sega kind of pooched this one early on. Beelzebub deserves better. In the next week or so, he's gonna get better because that's Hyper Beelzebub is some old game-breaking bullshit. Buckle up, folks, because both those Beelzebubs are coming, and they're going to be around for a little while, if I get my meaning. These are some of those demons that come around and shake the earth a little bit. Okay, so just buckle up, just be ready for it, and embrace the insanity that's to come. So until that insanity hits, Liberators, do not get captured.